As per media reports, the inter-service observations and impediments towards theaterization of the armed forces of India have been ironed out, and now all the services are on board to implement it. As per your opinion, in what time frame will theaterization be implemented in its final form? What are the major steps involved in restructuring of the formations of all the three services, and what is the present status?
Well, I won't be able to comment on the present status. Now that I've retired, I'm not privy to discussions which are confidential in nature. But once again, I would like to highlight this point that theaterization is also not an on off switch, that you will flip the switch and tomorrow you will be theatres. So, whatever is the final decision taken on how to go about it, what will be the composition of each theatre, which will also differ depending on the threat you're facing, whether you're facing the Western Front or the Northern Front, or whether it is the maritime threat that has to be dealt with. So the compositions of each of the theatres will be different. And to transit from where we are today to whatever model is finally decided will be also a gradual step. So as those steps keep getting implemented, again, as a work in progress, whatever shortfalls or infirmities are observed will be also addressed, and those mid-course corrections will be carried out, and we will progress in that direction. But theaterization has to be done. That is a bottom line. That is a given.
Right. I think recently there was an article that Mumbai will be the first tri-service station. Probably.
Mumbai can be a tri-service station, but that is just one of those steps, as I was saying, is one of the steps towards the overall theaterization.
Yes.
So when you say tri-service station, it means that the administrative aspects like housing, supply of rations, water, electricity, all those kind of things can be harmonized and brought under one head rather than the Army, Air Force, Navy each buying their supplies separately or each contracting separately with the local authorities for their requirements of electricity, water, those kind of things. So that is just one step of the overall process.
Yes. Right. The Indian Army is an organization with a tall and complex structure, with a multitude of ranks and levels of authority. 7 army commanders directly reported to you. From a leadership perspective, how difficult was it to lead a force of 13 lakh soldiers, and what are the challenges associated in commanding such a role? What qualities do you think you require to lead at that level?
Well, as you mentioned that you have 7 army commands and 7 army commanders reporting. So you have a chain of command. So it is not that one man is leading 13 lakh. There are various intermediary levels, and each level does their job. So the army commands have their corps under them, and so on. Corps have the divisions, have the brigades, and each level of command is exercising authority and a span of responsibility. Uh, so it is not that the army chief is directly leading platoon operations in Manipur. So whoever is the CU and brigade commander there, it says lookout. But yes, you're in this scheme of things, you're more like a manager. You have an eye out. You know what is the need is to um, have your eyes and ears open to know what is happening on the ground, not only through reports which come through the chain of command, but through regular field visits. And as army chief, even during COVID times, I was out every week or every 10 days, visiting units all over the country so that I could see for myself what is the situation on the ground, meet the boys, talk to them over a cup of tea. Because of COVID, even that got little restricted. But yes, we could still meet them, listen to their briefings, witness firing, exercises. And that is how you get to know what is the pulse of the army. So that is, I think, very important to be not office bound, to be out on the ground, to be with the men as much as possible. And that is how the men also get confidence in their commanders. When they see you up front with them in the forward areas, in the difficult areas, in high altitude, in snowbound areas, in the deserts. So they know that they're being looked after and they're not being just forgotten or kept there. So that is a very important aspect.
So, along with the chain of command, as you said, regular field visits and gauging the situation on the ground is really important. While leading the Indian Army, do you recount any instances wherein you were faced with a serious dilemma in terms of a conflict between political directives received by you and your own professional views? If so, how did you tackle the situation?
This issue of politicization of the army is something which has been in the public eye in the last couple of years. But the way we are structured and the way we are tasked, actually, there is very less scope for political interference as such. Because, as I said, the chain of command, there is, I would say, no interference at the state level. Because the army doesn't come under the state government, it comes under the central government. So there is no interference at all at the state level. So I'm saying this because as a brigade commander or as a army commander, say I was army commander Eastern Command. It is not that a state a chief minister of a state will tell me that move a battalion away. He's got no say in it at all.
Yes.
So there is no political interference. Unlike with other, say, state police forces where they can move here and there, nobody can say that move a brigade commander, post him out. Not possible. So those things are so well institutionalized that actually speaking, there is very little political interference. And if at all it comes to that, there have to be very strong reasons for the government of the day at the central leadership to be wanting to sort of interfere in the day-to-day operations and running of the armed forces. And it's not just for the Army, Navy, Air Force. Nobody tells you what to do, when to do, how to do. Yes, we report to Parliament, and Parliament is the executive and the government of the day. So whatever the Parliament says, we have to do. So that element of civilian leadership is there, but that is not the same as interference. Obviously, you can't have the armed forces doing something totally which is not as per the national interest. So to that extent, yes, we have to follow orders as well. But there is the instances of something being told which is not in the interest of the army to do, or as I said, that somebody has to be posted out or moved out or promoted for that matter. It doesn't happen that way. So
Okay.
it's, that meritocracy still prevails, and there will always be exceptions. I don't say that exceptions are not there, but there are very few and far between. So I would still say that our army is very much a political and a very professional army, and that is the strength of our country in that dime, DIME, that military, if there is a strength, it is the fact that we are apolitical.
So, continuing with this same line of thought, when the situation is tense and nearing a breaking point, and when it comes to taking a call whether to go to war or not with any of our neighbors, and I mean, obviously, after sufficient provocation from their end. So, at that time, what is going on in the minds of the government, CSS, and other decision making authorities?
Well, I would like to start off by saying that it is not armies that go to war; it is nations go to war. So obviously, if a nation has to decide to go to war or not go to war, the decision has to be at the national level, at the apex level of the decision making, which is the Cabinet Committee for Security (CCS), which has all the Prime Minister, the Home Minister, Finance Minister, the Defense Minister, the CDS, the secretaries of these departments. They all and various factors are discussed. So it is a national level body. It is not the army which will say that we have to do this or not do that. And in doing so, then, as I said, the entire uh, national interest has to be kept in mind, whether this short term benefit of war outweighs the damage that is going to take place, because if you go to war, there is going to impact the economy. Again, we come back to that part. So death, destruction, violence is going to impact the economy. So do you want your economy? So both aspects will have to be weighed together, that what is the threat, and is that threat that is there going to impact your economy more than the loss which will be there by going to war. So it is more a transactional decision uh, which has to be taken.
So you have to weigh the
Pros and cons,
and
absolutely.
then
Yeah.
take a call. Are there any particular leadership situations you faced during the early phase of your career as a young officer, company commander, or as a commanding officer directly leading troops, which you would like to share with the audience?
Well, 42 years in the army, I think every day is a decision. So, uh, but I think more than anything else, most of us join the army for a sense of adventure, and I think I've had my share of that right from the time I was a young officer. And we have a system in the army of field postings and peace posting. And obviously, field postings are more difficult, more challenging. At times, you are there at your post with 5 men. That's all you have to, to talk to. And so each day is a challenge. It's not that there are no challenges in peace. Peacetime also has its own share of challenges. But what is important is that you have to learn and grow with each of those challenges that you face, and you may have setbacks also. And I think there have been occasions where I've filed away a piece of information from one of my some of my earlier years, which somehow was there in my subconscious and came back to me when I had attained higher ranks, so that I didn't make those mistakes or that I encountered in my younger days and didn't pass it on and make those same mistakes when I became senior. What is also important is that span of command. As I said, as a young officer, you may be, as a platoon commander, 30 men under you, as a company commander, 100, as a battalion commander, 800. So the impact of your decision is affecting more and more people as you're going up. So, all the more reason that whatever decision you take has to be more well thought of and not just an off the cuff decision, because it's going to affect so many people. And I would also like to add that those mistakes are condoned. Condoned in the sense they're not taken against you, because people know that if you're going to do work, you're going to do mistakes. You will not be right all the time. So you've gone on a patrol, sometimes you get lost. You don't hit the point exactly, so that will happen. But that's part of the learning process. As long as you don't make the same mistake again and again, that's okay.